Reincarnation, I've heard about it. Past lives, karma, working off debts. But honestly, it always felt kind of heavy, like I'm being punished now for something some other guy did centuries ago. Does Seth see it that way?
When you think of reincarnation, you suppose a series of progressions. Instead, the various lives grow out of what your inner self is.
Okay, wait, let that sink in for a second, because I really want to pull that quote apart.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Grow out of what your inner self is, not what it was, what it is right now.
Exactly.
I mean, that completely shatters the entire framework I think most of us bring to this whole topic.
It really does. It's a massive paradigm shift. And for anyone joining us on this deep dive today, we are pulling apart some of the most honestly mind-bending material from the channeled texts of Jane Roberts.
Right, specifically looking at Seth Speaks and the nature of personal reality and the unknown reality.
Yeah. And the mission today, the real goal here, is to completely dismantle that heavy punitive idea of karma that you just mentioned.
Which is such a relief, honestly.
Right. The core premise we are exploring today is that your past lives, they aren't, dusty histories just trailing behind you.
Like some cosmic rap sheet.
Yeah, exactly. Not a rap sheet. They aren't closed books sitting on a shelf somewhere. They are happening simultaneously right now.
Which is just wow.
And because they are happening right now, you actually have the ability to draw on their living wisdom today.
Okay, I have to stop you right there and legitimately push back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that sounds completely wild to a rational mind.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Like, if time isn't a straight line, if my quote-unquote past lives are happening now, how does that actually work mechanically?
Well, it helps to.
I mean, I'm sitting in this chair, right? I'm looking at a clock ticking forward. It breaks my brain to try to fathom, like, existing in the 14th century as a blacksmith and in the 21st century, sitting here in the exact same fraction of a second.
And of course it does.
If it's all happening at once, why do I only feel the chair? Why don't I feel the heat of the forge?
It's a completely natural biological reaction to feel that way. And Seth actually spends a significant amount of time in these books explaining the why behind your resistance to this idea.
Okay, so he addresses the brain-breaking part of it.
He does. You have to understand that our physical senses, like your eyes, your ears, your neurological processing, they're biologically wired to perceive time as a sequence of events.
Right, one thing after another.
Exactly. One moment disappears, the next arrives. It's basically a survival mechanism.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you were consciously aware of every single reality your inner self was experiencing all at once, you wouldn't be able to cross the street without getting hit by a car.
Oh, man. So my brain is acting like a filter. Or like a reducing valve.
That is a phenomenal way to put it.
It's actively blocking out the simultaneous reality just so I can function in this specific one.
Yes. The brain is the hardware, and it is designed to tune into one single frequency at a time.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Seth points out that this linear time is an illusion. It's a very convincing, highly necessary camouflage for our physical experience, but, a camouflage nonetheless.
Right, so don't just walk into traffic while thinking about churning butter in the 1800s.
Exactly. So to diagnose our true relationship with time, Seth introduces a concept he calls the spacious present.
The spacious present. I mean, it sounds poetic, but what does it actually mean mechanically?
Well, let's look at the traditional view of reincarnation for a moment to contrast it.
Okay.
Think of traditional karma like a string of beads.
Right, the sequential view. You live one life, you die. That's bead number one.
Yeah.
You learn a lesson, or you fail to learn it, I guess. Then you move on to the next bead on the string.
Exactly. It implies a strict cause and effect across centuries. It says that bead number 5 is shaped entirely by the mistakes made in bead number 2.
Which is where that heavy feeling comes from.
Right. But Seth completely throws out the string of beads. He says that cause and effect in that linear, punitive sense just does not exist.
Because there is no past to cause the present.
Exactly. In the spacious present, the past, the present, and the future exist simultaneously.
So they aren't stretched out on a timeline.
No, they occupy the same space of reality without interfering with one another.
Okay, but if it's not string of beads, I'm really trying to picture what this looks like.
It's tricky, for sure.
Because if everything is happening at once, it sounds like absolute chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like walking into a crowded room where 500 people are shouting different conversations at you at the same time.
It would be chaos if there weren't an underlying order. But it isn't a room full of shouting strangers. It's highly organized, just not in a linear way.
So it's more structured than a crowd. Maybe it's less like a necklace of bees and more like like an orchestra.
Yes, let's run with that. An orchestra is a brilliant way to map out Seth's concept of the spacious present.
Okay, so if we use the orchestra, all of my lives, the 14th century blacksmith, the 21st century person I am now, maybe a 24th century space explorer, they all exist at once.
Hmm.
They are the different instruments playing simultaneously to create a single majestic symphony.
Exactly. And the listener, the you that is listening to us on this deep dive right now, is just one specific instrument in that orchestra.
So I'm sitting here today, and I'm like the first violin.
Yes. You are deeply focused on reading your sheet music, playing your specific part, and existing within the acoustic space of the 21st century.
Right. My entire reality is just focused on the vibration of my own strings.
But the inner self, what Seth might call the entity or the whole soul, is the conductor.
Oh, well.
And the conductor isn't just listening to the violin. The conductor is aware of the entire symphony, hearing the brass, the woodwinds, the percussion, all playing at the exact same moment.
And here is where we get to the mechanical shift that is so incredibly liberating.
Yeah, this is the big payoff.
If the brass section, let's say, that represents my life in 18th century France is playing a really intense, dramatic, perhaps tragic melody, it isn't causing the first violin to play a certain way today out of punishment.
Because they are playing at the same time.
Right. The brass section isn't playing a note on Tuesday that forces the violin to play a sour note on Wednesday. They are playing concurrently.
Exactly. The past life that is influencing you is not a karmic debt you are forced to pay.
So what is it then?
It is a concurrent focus of your larger identity. Your inner self, the conductor, might be exploring a grand theme, let's say, the theme of overcoming fear.
Okay.
And so it has the brass section playing a heavy, fearful tune, while the violin is playing a lighter, questioning tune.
So the influence you feel from that past life is just resonance.
Yes. It's basically the acoustic bleed-through in the symphony hall.
That makes so much sense, but it also raises a massive question.
Let's hear it.
If my past isn't causing my present, if the French aristocrat I was in the 18th century didn't do something bad that it's making me suffer today, where is my power? What dictates the quality of my life right now?
Your power is exactly where you are. In The Nature of Personal Reality, Seth introduces a concept that is absolute bedrock for this entire philosophy.
Oh, this is the big one.
We really cannot overstate the importance of this. Seth states that the point of power is now.
The point of power is now, not in the past, not in the future, now.
Yes. Because all lives are simultaneous, you are never at the mercy of past life karma. You are the living, present expression of your inner self.
Okay, so going back to the radio dial analogy from earlier, I am the one turning the dial.
Exactly. You can literally change the influence of any past life by changing your present beliefs about it.
Wow.
You control the focal point of your consciousness. You are the one who decides which signals, which energies to tune into from that vast orchestra.
So if I have a fear of water, it's not because I drowned as a medieval peasant. It's because a part of my larger self is exploring that theme, and I can shift my relationship to it now.
Exactly. You can ask for the strength or insight from that life without reliving the trauma.
I really want to linger on that because the psychological relief of that statement is staggering.
It takes away all the blame.
It really does.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the mechanics of how that works. Because if the point of power is now, and I'm not doomed to carry the baggage of that drowning medieval peasant, it means the connection goes both ways.
Right. It's a two-way street.
The connection isn't just about avoiding their trauma, it's about actively accessing their resources.
Precisely. Because your inner self is the conductor, it has access to the sheet music for every single instrument.
Okay.
In Seth Speaks, we learn that the boundaries between these simultaneous lives are not concrete walls. They are transparent and they're permeable. Seth calls this a bleeding through of abilities.
So if I need courage today to, say, quit my job or make a massive life change, and a simultaneous aspect of my identity is living a life requiring immense bravery, maybe as an explorer or something, I can draw on that courage.
You can, because it's not locked away in a closed vault marked 1400 AD.
It is active, alive, and available in my spacious present.
It is actively being generated right now in the same overarching moment. You are simply allowing the resonance of that instrument to support your own melody.
But I'm guessing I only have access to it if my present beliefs actually allow for it.
Exactly. That's the catch. If you believe you are a victim of past karma, you close the door to that strength. You basically isolate the first violin from the rest of the orchestra.
Right. But let's look at this practically. Because it's one thing to talk about this as a beautiful, esoteric philosophy.
True.
But has anyone ever actually experienced this simultaneous connection in their daily life without being totally overwhelmed?
Oh, absolutely.
Because, frankly, hearing all the instruments at once sounds like it could just induce a psychotic break.
Yeah, it sounds terrifying.
If I'm washing dishes in the 21st century and suddenly remember dying in a war in the 14th century,
Yeah.
how does that not shatter a person's sanity?
That is the crux of the challenge right there. And it leads us directly into the personal experiences of the channeler herself, Jane Roberts.
Oh, perfect.
This is where the material in the unknown reality becomes so vital. Because Jane didn't just write these concepts down as abstract theory, she lived them.
She was basically the test subject for her own channeled material.
She really was. And as you know, Jane was a highly skeptical, incredibly intelligent woman. She wasn't someone who just accepted esoteric ideas at face value because they sounded nice.
Right, from what I've read of her own notes in these books, she fiercely tested and interrogated these concepts.
Exactly. In the sessions that make up the unknown reality, we see Jane grappling with the reality of simultaneous time directly.
She was experiencing it firsthand.
Yes, Seth would frequently discuss her other simultaneous lives to help her understand this. He didn't do it to entertain her with historical trivia. He did it to prove the mechanics of the inner self.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. For instance, he spoke of a personality named Nabene, and he also discussed Jane's concurrent existence as a male in another century.
What fascinates me is how Jane experienced these connections. When she tapped into Nabene, or that male personality, she didn't view these other lives as distant historical facts.
No, not at all.
She didn't say, oh, neat, I was a guy named Nabane. Let me go to the library and look up some census records to prove it.
Right, because that would be falling right back into the trap of linear time.
Exactly.
She experienced them as living, accessible aspects of her own being.
Wow.
She described experiencing sudden, profound alterations in her consciousness. It was very visceral. She could actually feel the confidence of one life or the artistic skill of another.
So it wasn't just a memory, it was an active participation.
Yes. Think about what that requires psychologically. She had to expand her definition of self to include these other lives without losing her grounding as Jane Roberts in the 1970s.
Right. She had to let the orchestra play without forgetting she was the first violin.
That's a great way to put it. And these weren't burdens for her, they were resources.
The emotional payoff of that framework is massive. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt bogged down by the idea that you are paying off some cosmic credit card debt for mistakes you don't even remember making, Seth's teachings completely free you from that guilt and fear.
It's incredibly liberating.
Jane realized these past lives weren't burdens to be worked off. They were a rich, living reservoir of resources.
Exactly. And Seth's teaching freed her from the guilt and fear often associated with traditional karma.
But if Jane could access these resources, how can the listener do the same? I mean, how do we tap into this orchestra without losing our place in the sheet music of our own daily life?
This is where we transition from understanding the philosophy to actively practicing it.
Awesome. I love when we get to the practical stuff.
Seth is brilliant because he never just leaves us with mind-bending philosophy. He always offers practical tools. So we're going to introduce a technique based directly on these teachings that we'll call wisdom recall.
Wisdom recall. Okay, I'm taking notes.
And this is something you, listening right now, can use tonight.
Let's break down the mechanics of wisdom recall. Walk us through how this actually works.
It relies on utilizing a very specific state of consciousness, basically the threshold right before you drift off to sleep.
Right.
Because during your waking hours, your linear focus, that strict, survival-based 21st century perspective, is fully engaged. It's defending the borders of your current reality.
Right. It's keeping you from getting hit by the car.
Exactly. But as you fall asleep, that biological camouflage relaxes. The boundary between your conscious ego and your larger inner self becomes highly permeable.
Reducing valve opens up a little bit.
Precisely. So before you go to sleep tonight, as you are lying there in that relaxed in-between state, you simply state this intention silently to yourself.
Okay, what's the intention?
Let me remember a skill, strength, or insight from another aspect of my larger self that serves me now.
Let me remember a skill, strength, or insight from another aspect of my larger self that serves me now.
That's it.
I want to point out the phrasing there because it feels very intentional. It's an invitation, not a demand.
That is a crucial distinction. You must not try to force a specific past life or direct the outcome. This is where people trip up.
Yeah, I can see that.
Don't go into it thinking, I need to connect with my inner Cleopatra tonight so I can be charismatic enough to get a promotion at work tomorrow.
Right, because the ego is just the first violin. It doesn't know what the brass section is doing.
Exactly. You cannot try to control the narrative from the limited perspective of the ego. The key is simply opening up the channel and trusting the inner self, the conductor.
Because the conductor knows the entire symphony.
Yes. The conductor knows exactly which instrument has the specific resonance, the exact emotional tone, or the specific courage that is most beneficial for your current melody. You just open up to whatever comes.
So mechanically, if I do this tonight, what happens next? What does it look like when it actually works?
Well, you might have a vivid dream. It might feel different than a normal dream, more like a tangible memory, carrying a specific emotional weight or a lesson.
And if you don't remember your dreams,
That's completely fine. The transfer of resources doesn't require conscious memory of a dream. You might wake up the next morning with a sudden confidence or a new idea.
oh, like standing in the shower and getting struck by a creative solution to a problem that's been bothering you for weeks.
Exactly. You might notice during the day that you handle a situation with uncharacteristic ease. You just have to trust whatever arises.
I love that phrase, uncharacteristic ease.
It's the perfect way to describe it, and Seth states this explicitly. It's a quote that anchors this entire practice. The inner self knows all of its experiences. You can draw upon them at any time.
It completely reframes the human experience. It's like realizing you have a massive backup team of you standing right behind you ready to assist.
It really removes the isolation of the human condition.
So let's put this into active practice. We have a 24-hour challenge for you, the listener, to put wisdom recall into action and test this for yourself.
Step 1 happens tonight, and ideally for the next few nights to really establish the pathway, as you are lying in bed right before sleep, use that silent wisdom recall intention and make sure you keep your dream journal nearby.
Step 2 is for tomorrow morning. And this requires discipline. The very moment you wake up, immediately write down any dream fragments.
Write down any feelings or first thoughts.
Yeah, even if it's just the very first abstract thought that pops into your head and it makes zero logical sense in the moment. Just capture the raw data.
And step 3 happens during the day. Stay mindful. Notice if you feel a new sense of resourcefulness in any area.
Like finding extra patience with a difficult coworker or a sudden burst of focus.
Exactly. When that happens, acknowledge it. This isn't random luck. This is your larger self sharing its wealth.
As we look at everything we've unpacked today on this deep dive, I just feel a huge sense of relief on behalf of everyone listening.
It is a relief.
To realize that there is no karmic debt hanging over your head. There is just a vast inner library, that you can access right now. You are fully, completely supported by your own greater being.
It fundamentally changes how we view our potential. But this concept of simultaneous existence, as wild as it is, goes even further.
I know where this is going.
Next time, we go even deeper into the other yous, not just simultaneous lives, but probable selves, the versions of you that made different choices. And they're just as real as you are. You can learn from them, too.
I cannot wait to tear into the concept of probable selves. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final mind-bending concept to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We spent all this time talking about how you can draw strength from your simultaneous lives because the point of power is now.
Right.
But think about the physics of what we just discussed. If all your lives are happening right now and time flows in all directions, how might the brave choices and the healing you achieve today be sending ripples backward through time?
Oh, wow.
You might just be the future self, secretly lending strength to a past version of you who is struggling right now. Keep an ear out for the rest of your orchestra.